It's really hard for me to do this while in a state of panic.
Right.
All right, so what were you saying about the hospital mental health?
Well, I was just saying they don't do anything. I was sent over to Providence for 14 days.
And that's in a different jurisdiction,
That's
obviously.
over in Banff. And then I was sent to Mid-Care Valley Care Center or health place for another 14
So by
days.
sending me to mental health here, they're basically just setting me up so that if something happens and I push too hard to send them to prison where they belong, they just send me to a place like that.
Probably.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it works nationwide.
And all I did was lay around for the 14 days I was in both places.
Yep, that's what sucks about having to.
They didn't do anything for me. They asked me what day it was, what time it was, what year it was,
Oh,
It wasn't until I got back here that they put me on a dose of hallucinogenic pills that worked really good. Getting off.
That's one thing for me. I've never had hallucinations. Well, all right. One time when I was trying to turn Officer Royal and Lolatai in, and some of Natalie's family was getting a hold of me and telling me that they were afraid for their lives. And a lot of my friends were telling me that people were threatening to kill them and their kids. And yeah, I actually tried to end it all right there. So they took me to the hospital. And then at the hospital, they said that I was there of my own recognizance or whatever, that I was free to go whenever I wanted. So when I went for the door, they tackled me and said that now I was there under doctor's orders.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they injected me with Haldol, Ativan, and something called ketamine.
Wow.
That's the only time I have ever had an actual hallucination. And that was right after Natalie was killed, and it was before they found her killer. Like police, they'll use the hospitals to try to frame a homeless person for murder any day of the week.
Oh, sure.
They'll frame them for anything. It's easy to do. It makes them look good, too.
Yeah, sure does.
Cleans up the streets. Problem is they're going after the wrong people out here. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So what are you going to do with care?
They're supposed to maybe have a room I can sit down and write in.
What's that?
They're supposed to maybe have a room that I can sit down and write in.
Oh, nice.
Like I was going to do on your floor.
Right.
They already told me they don't.
Mm-hmm.
All these places told me that they don't.
Right.
But Nicole Vertner,
Library.
no, not really. The library isn't accessible to me. There's too many of my predators access that because it's a public building. I have to worry about them if I go to the library. I have to worry about them if I go to Safeway.
Right.
I also have to worry that if I leave here, then all of the stuff that I've invested here will get took. I literally can't afford to leave here. Like where are they expecting me to move on to? And that's always their solution. Thank you. things that I worry about out here is like I'll try to get to know someone first, just in case they, how do I say this? In case they come across all right, sometimes like Farnsworth, but they end up not being. I got lucky when I met Farnsworth. He was on a bad day, so I knew to be prepared every time after that. But with people like, for example, Vicky Rain, you know, when I met her, she was on a good day. She was on the upside, what do you call that? The happy side of bipolar. Now I listened to that Nicole Vertner conversation again to make sure that I heard everything right. I was very nice to her, and she was very nice to me. I really like the lady, and I really feel bad for having to turn her in. I know she's not gonna get in any trouble. None of these people are, but maybe it put something in place to force them to actually follow the laws. As is, the only thing that makes that a guarantee is a friend or family member. For me, being treated like I'm violent and angry and hateful in the way that Farnsworth is, that's not okay, because although I am angry and hateful at some things, those things are things that shouldn't be acceptable by society. Like child molestation, rape, things of that nature. Now, since you're going with me, and since the lady behind the counter is, I don't know her name, I can never remember it, but there's a guy named Zane, and Zane knows me. They both know I'm not schizo. So hopefully she's there, and hopefully I can get her to talk to Zane. Also, there's a guy who used to be a cop here. His name is Matt. And I was supposed to call him and talk to him, but he was busy the 2 times that I went in there. And when it came time to call him, I was having issues with the phone. And then I was having a whole bunch more issues because it was right around the time that Farnsworth had another episode and threatened to assault me again. Thank you. Oh, I should have brought my keys for the mailbox.
What?
I said I should have brought my keys for the mailbox. The biggest problem that I have is that I can't function when I'm
myself.
Do what?
I need to go in there for a minute myself.
Yes, sir.
I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. I didn't bring my mailbox key, so I guess I'll talk to my camera for a bit. Some of y'all might know my name is Sean David Schwartz, and my best friend Natalie Ball is in the ground now because the police in Colorado didn't want to do their jobs for a homeless man. As many of y'all know, the violence against men is increasing day by day. As many of y'all may know, the Constitution starts with we the people. I'm tired of my poor female friends having to go through all this. I'm tired of my poor male friends having to go through all this. I'm tired of my poor black friends having to go through all this. I'm tired of my white friends who are poor having to go through all this. sometimes we assign a class and division to color automatically. You just assume that a white person is better off than you and has more privilege than you. Well, maybe sort of, depending on which white person, but it ain't no guarantee. It's just like there's no guarantee that, well, there's no guarantee that a man's bigger than a woman. Protecting ourselves from predators requires working together. It requires paying attention. It requires listening to the victim and not talking over them. You know, when I took the mandated reporter training in Colorado, they taught us not to do any of the things that these mandated reporters are doing. They're literally, bless you, there are things that you're not supposed to do because they betray the victim's trust. And that's what's happened here, is that mandated reporters are betraying the victim's trust. When I went into them the first time, they shouldn't have focused on housing. Abuse against a disabled or at-risk adult is required to be turned in immediately. A disabled adult in an at-risk situation, that is required to be turned in immediately, as well as abuse against children. Now, when Laura Nelson told Officer Holloway in Nebraska that she was afraid for her son, Holloway should have called CPS immediately and gotten an investigation started.
How's it going?
Should have offered her a room to sit down with in private if she needed it, or with me or her husband present if she requested it. The fears for her son should have been taken legitimately. Instead, he didn't care. She told me not to trust him when we left. And she told me that she would maybe take me to the FBI office all the way on the other end of the state. That didn't quite happen. That maybe stretched and stretched and stretched until it was no longer possible, this whole turn it in right away scenario. But you see what happens when I try to turn it in right away. Now Matt, he used to be a cop, and then he moved here. And when he moved here, he started working at one of the stores here, and that's how I met him. He recently moved, but one of his coworkers, who used to be a fireman, is still here. And I'll probably go talk to him later on and give him my phone number to give to Matt. James is kind enough to walk with me to their care, and hopefully I'll get hurt a little bit better than usual. I already know how this works out, which is why they need to understand it's a whole lot of them. All they're going to get is a slap on the wrist right now. But we've got homeless people walking out into the streets attempting to commit.
right there. I got some cigarette.
Yes, sir. Alright. Oh, dang it. I don't have enough hands.
Like it too much to put it out.
Do what?
I said I like cigarettes too much to put it out.
Yes, sir. Looks like somebody left a piece of paper.
Yeah, they sure did.
Oh, and part of a tutor. Apparently they were doing drugs on this bench.
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's a cute Van Gogh, though.
Yeah, somebody did a good painting on the chair. Thank you.
Her name Nicole Vertner at the 7th Day Adventist Hospital. Nicole Vertner, she's the director at the 7th Day Adventist Hospital. There's some situations where I'm being assaulted and abused, and she told me that you guys have a room that I could use to sit down and write stuff in peace and quiet. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Could you come back at noon and have a room available for you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you be able to come back at noon, Jim? Or
What's that?
would you be able to come back with me at noon?
I don't think so.
That's all right.
But I'll see what happens.
Yes, sir.
What is it, almost 12?
Yeah. It's 11:04. Yes, sir. I should ask one more thing. I came here about 11 months ago because I was sent here by the police department.
Yeah.
Stalking by a lady named Molly, and then later on about stalking by a guy named Robert Farnsworth, and then again about stalking by a man named Jeffrey.
That you are being stalked?
Yes, ma'am. And I tried to turn it into the police. They blow me off and dismiss me. A lot of it is that people aren't trained to understand autism. They just know the wives' tales.
Okay. I'm deaf on this side, so you might have to speak up.
Yes, ma'am. We'll all work together with your disabilities if you'll work with mine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When it comes to extraneous noises, I might talk over it, especially if I'm stressed out because I can't think over it.
No problem.
James Murphy, I didn't know his name until a couple of days ago. I was served papers, and I have a YouTube channel where I record everything so that I can show that I tell the truth.
Okay. Robert Farnsworth?
Robert Farnsworth, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I don't know Molly's last name. She was the guy from Hood River. He stalked me here.
Okay.
And another thing I was wanting to know, I don't know if you guys have started a case file for me because I've been in here about 4 or 5
What's
times.
your name, huh?
Sean Schwartz. But I was hoping you guys might be able to take a copy of my paperwork here so that you guys have a copy of what's being said about me. I had court on the 12th about this. This is the guy who stalked me here. But the paperwork, they served papers on me and pretended that I'm these.
Okay.
So I don't have any sort of advocacy, and that's what I was sitting here for. 11 months ago. It's for some sort of abuse. And the thing is that the cops basically are just sending me around all the mental health places. They're telling me it's not their job to investigate. I went to the wrong place.
Okay.
And all telling me that all they can do is refer me to another place. I've been probably close to 100 meetings in this town since I got here. Nothing's been done about any of the stalkers or the fact that I have to go to police alone. And as an at-risk and disabled adult, I'm easy to talk over. So it's, at this point, it's become like threatening to try to go to the police.
Okay.
They bully me as if I'm some sort of a schizophrenic. I do have my paperwork from my own mental health professional. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I occasionally smoke pot. I do smoke cigarettes and I drink caffeine. I am disabled. I make $822 a month in disability.
We can talk about this at noon,
I'm
and
sorry.
I can make, no, you're fine, But, I can make copies then of all your stuff and put it in your file. And then we'll see what we need to go, where we go from there. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry I talk too much. It's a trauma response.
No, don't be sorry. I just wanna have enough time with you to go over all of this stuff and maybe come up with a solution or a direction we can go with it. Okay? So
Yes,
please,
ma'am.
my name's Alicia.
Alicia?
Yeah, and I will be here, and we can go over this.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Yeah, it's okay. Please come on.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Carrie. I was sent here by Ellie.
Twelve o'clock, huh?
Yeah.
What do you need me for? What do you need me for?
To verify your part with the Farnsworth thing. Because the point here isn't to get Farnsworth in trouble, it's to get me help. He's getting help. He is out there at helping hands. He's got a job. He's doing better. I'm glad he's doing better, but I'm still scared of him.
Right.
That's Nicole Vertner right there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I talked to you?
She just waved and smiled.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I don't think she's trying to be malicious at all.
No.
She's just trying to protect her own hide at this point.
Right.
And that's understandable.
Right.
Obviously, these are people that do care about people. They work at a hospital and they volunteer their food. But the thing is, as mandated reporters go, I literally can't take care of myself, and it's some good people died since I've been here.
A lot of good people have died since I've, the last few years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Natalie had a lethal dose of heroin in her system when she was shot. My friend Christine, she overdosed on fentanyl with one of my other witnesses, George Helmstetter. George is still alive, but he had his chest cracked open because he did a lot of drugs over a lot of years. It doesn't do good on your heart.
We can go back to back there if you want to.
Yes, sir.
A little closer.
I'm just afraid with traffic like this, without a crosswalk, I'll get smashed.
Right. Hey, how's it going?
Basically, when when somebody goes in to get it started, they have to have somebody go in with them, so it's taken seriously.
Oh, okay. I'll go and get these guys.
Sure. Give me a chance to grab my mail key too.
Okay.
I think it's really mean of them to leave me out here for everybody else to deal with. I get scary sometimes. Not hurting people scary, but just really loud. Mostly right after a situation with Molly or Farnsworth or the police.
Hey, how you doing?
I don't feel real comfortable on this chunk of property.
What's that?
I said I don't feel real comfortable on this chunk of property. Tillamookkk Police Department.
I'll be by here in just a minute.
I often on my chat. Oh, it says imagine no violence. Tillamookkk County working together. 2010. What the hell happened there? That dream died quick. You know, I never been somewhere where cops were so fucking nice and kiss-assy about violating somebody's rights.
Right.
Like, they will straight up tongue that butthole trying to feel good about them getting ready to shove their... Oh, I'm not going there. That was a bad reference. Explains why they're always talking shit, though. Bad joke. The problem with Nicole County Sheriff's Department and also Chesapeake, there's multiple departments that can be charged with manslaughter and Natalie Bowen's death. They can also be charged with, or assisted manslaughter, I should say.
Right.
And assisted manslaughter and or manslaughter in Christine Buhit's death.
Right.
And that's federal, and since this situation has happened across multiple jurisdictional borders, that's federal as well.
Right.
I've been doing everything I can to try to get red flagged by the FBI so they just pick me up and lock me away forever.
Right.
But I also been doing everything that I can to try to force them to look at evidence. I figure, all right, if I have to, I have to, as long as I don't kill anybody. Of course, when I make videos about how I'm not willing to burn down their police department, I'd rather turn them in.
Right.
Then I get to listen to people going, oh my God, you threatened to burn down the police department. Like, no, I didn't. I did mention that I know how, and I mentioned that I choose not to.
Right.
When I was locked up, they kept putting me in the suicide suits for trying to turn them in. And I kept tearing them up because they put you in them because you can't tear them up. I'm like, I'll find a way.
Right.
And I did. So I tore up like 7 or 8 of their suicide blankets, probably 3 or 4 of their suicide smocks.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Ted Hill comes in and he says, you know, he's not trying to kill himself. What he's showing you by making ropes over and over and over again, he's showing you that if he could kill himself, he would. So maybe you should try another tactic.
Right.
I was so proud of that. I took those suicide blankets and made a ring out of one of the strands from it. And I wore that until a week ago when it broke.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow.
Thanks for walking with me.
You're welcome.
I have to walk this far anyway so that I don't get all completely froze up.
Sure.
Makes my hand go to sleep. I gotta remember to hold it like this, but I keep holding it the way that I messed with it when I was a kid, you know?
Right.
You get a cane and you hold it all Dapper Dan.
Yeah.
But yeah, this way is actually a lot easier because where the palm of my hand is, it rests right over the top of where the shaft is, so it gives me better balance.
I guess we'll sit on the porch until it's 12 o'clock, and then we'll walk over there again.
All right.
Beautiful day.
Yes, sir. Probably grab my keys.
I'll be right here sitting.
Yes, sir. I'll be right back. Is it all right if I set these here?
Oh, you bet.
Right. Someone calling himself Joe Smith typed. Well, this guy's just being a troll. He typed, "Hi, I remember you. You rode the short bus to school back in the day." Cute. And then a retracted message of some sort. What do we do with these jackasses? Blam, hide user on this channel and that motherfucker's gone. Quick and easy. You come for insults, I'll give you insults. Casper, the friendly ghost. I gotta try not to have a panic attack on me too. I'm gonna turn this off because it's down to 6% battery, and I really do need the battery.